Yesterday, the market was strong.
That's Clarita, Safer Castaway.
Yeah. We gapped higher coming into the week. We held above 265, talked about, and we got up kind of an area where we thought there could be some trouble. 267 and 267 and a half. Again, how did we do that? We went back and we looked over the last few trading days, and we saw the market couldn't sustain above 267, and we knew the prior week the low had been 267 and a half. So that was kind of an area to look for potential resistance. The way the market closed, things were looking pretty good for today. And the Trump Wall Street Journal interview came out, talked about more tariffs and things in China. And you can see we just got hit for about $1.50 in the after hours, right back to 266. We came in this morning when London opened, we were right back at the highs from yesterday at that 267.5 level. But sold off again, back down to where we were in the after hours. So if I step back out and look at this from a big picture perspective, I think, okay, if it continues to just hang out in this area up here, doesn't come closer to testing these lows, these are buyers stepping up to higher prices. And if we get a break through this resistance from yesterday and the support from last week, that could be the beginning of us moving back up into the low 270s. Kind of, I guess the most obvious place would be back up to here. I put this under like kind of best case scenario, I guess, for the next few days. Friday, work our way in here on Friday if the market turns out strong. From a bigger picture perspective, obviously sellers are still in control, so that does not have to happen. Certainly less than a 50% chance of happening. We take out the 265 support this morning, start to hold below, fail to really bounce back up, and we start to think about last week's low. And ultimately, the low from the end of October, if things get really ugly, these levels from back in February to the beginning of April. Let's take a look at the Qs. So Qs 161. It's pretty clean on both the open and then also the flush in the middle of the day. Remember when we bottomed here last week in the 57.5 area, we tried to get back above 61 and we could not do that. And so resistance becomes support, support becomes resistance. This is just the way markets work. And people are looking to buy. So it was actually pretty clean. You probably heard me talking about it in real time yesterday. This flush here is when I bought Apple. Qs worked just as well. Middle of the day, it flushed into the morning low and actually made a higher high. When Trump talked, it came down, but notice we're still $1 above yesterday's low, despite talk of iPhone tariffs and et cetera. So Q's trying to find a bottom here. As long as it stays above that 160.80, 161, we'll look for the upside is, I guess, to here to 164. It's the next resistance. So far maintaining this downtrend though. But a close above 164 would break that right here. Last time it broke a downtrend, came back up, failed in an area we highlighted, made a higher low, actually took out this resistance. We're getting kiboshed again. All right, so Apple. So that was, had quite a move yesterday. On the open, it flushed into 73. It popped about $1.50. Actually, almost got to 75. Then they melted it through priorities Friday's low. We flushed, it didn't quite. So we had, I think we had 72 as our S2, and then S3 was 70. So I didn't quite get to S3 before reversing back up. I mean, this is a really good balance. I mean, when something goes down to this, even a bounce back up to like right here, this is pretty good. Took that out and then closed pretty much at the high of the day. Then the Trump tariff thing came out. And so my first thought is, well, first of all, bigger picture, remember, this was the only thing we had as a short on the sheet yesterday just because the sellers are in control. It closed at the low, and if it kind of took this 72 out, I thought it might have a chance to flush to 70. Looking at it today, now I want to see if this can actually end up being a bottom here. It's possible. And so the first thing I was going to see is, can we get a higher low at 171? Can this hold right here? A little bit of a higher low. Start to hold above 72. Maybe it works its way back up to here. This. So we start to form like kind of a range at the bottom, and we'll see, can it break actually to the upside? It's come off quite a bit from the earnings, from 210 to 170. It's 20%. So it's a lot. But perfectly happy to play in either direction inside of the levels that were developed from yesterday. And then AMRN announced after the close yesterday they were going to do a secondary. I guess it turned out to be a little bit bigger than I would have expected. Still below 5% of the market cap, which is kind of a threshold I use for how dilutive it can be. Now remember this one, they had the news a couple weeks ago. Looked at it here, shorted it up here. They bought it. 17.5, 18, and the next day some larger institution sold it, causing it to drop 20% very quickly. And it's been accumulated over the last week or so. Had a pretty good bounce back to above 17. Had one gap down day, which was immediately bought, and then got back above 17. So most of the buying that's been done in the last 6-7 trading days is between 17.5 and 18.5. So this is kind of the spot. I put on the sheet 17.5. This is the spot where I want to see if they buy into this. Certainly has some flush potential to right below here. This is where I'm pretty comfortable looking to start to buy some. If it were to start to hold below 17, that would not be good. But it has bounce potential back up to 18.5, $19. The issue really is where are they going to have to price the deal? People think they're going to have to price the deal below 17, and that could add some more selling pressure. I think everybody who wanted out of this stock got out of it after this announcement. Look at the volume here. I think people anticipated that there was a good chance they were going to raise some money to ramp up the sales force, perhaps buy some inventory. As the drug results were very impressive, and people are expecting it to become a multi-billion-dollar product. So those are the two news items after the close. I didn't really see anything beyond that. The video I want to take a look at, TAC did pretty good. It dropped I think it was 48. I don't know, was 48 was S1 yesterday for us, I think. It dropped it a couple of times, but never really did much below it. I guess they were buying it right. They're buying it right below that, like in the 47.70-ish, it looks like. You can see how I picked 48. It was basically just had been resistance the day before. I can imagine some people got sucked in thinking it was weak because it's got below 47.50. But on the 30-minute, it just kept on closing back above there. And then finally in the afternoon, went green, and then just really had a nice bounce. So let's go to the 5-minute. So bottom, higher, low, being accumulated higher now. This looks pretty methodical to me. So now I want to see today if it gets accumulated a little bit higher. It would be the natural spot would be above 150. It starts here, big pullback, higher. Let me see if it holds higher now. The upside, upside from 50 is the spot where it kind of topped out after Citron said they were long it. It's the spot right here. You can see in the after hours they actually did drop to 150. All right, JKS. So this was number one on the sheet yesterday. So this is the markup from the morning meeting yesterday. We thought the news was really strong. 1080 was our support. Right on the open first, they went to resistance. I think we had 980 was support. 1080 to 11 was where I thought might have a little trouble. It did pop there right on the open. Very quickly got to our support and then got back above 10 very quickly. After testing the morning resistance, rolled over again. It almost got back down to 10, which is not great. But it eventually was accumulated above 10.5 in the afternoon. So it looks like a few prints below 10.5 this morning with the gap lower. The key for this one really is right on the open. You'd want to see it just above. You'd want to see it bought above back up to where it was accumulated yesterday, and then take out yesterday's high within the first half hour. Otherwise, I wouldn't really look for follow through in it. And then this one here is one of these low price reverse split piece of shit stocks. It made a new high in the afternoon and then they crushed it. So technically it's still above its uptrend. It actually in the pre-market bottomed here. But you want to take note of anytime something actually makes a new high, tries to roll over, makes a new high, and then they slam it into the close. That's kind of can be a topping pattern. So as long as it's below this here, you'd watch to see if it kind of fails there, gets below $6, and then you'd look for it to come into something like this. Like this right here. If it's holding above $7, then buyer is still very much in control. All right, so not a lot going on. It's okay, earnings season's over. You can just pick your spots. I thought yesterday even there wasn't a ton going on, but there was certainly 3 or 4 pretty good opportunities. And just be patient. Check in with the radar at 10 o'clock.